In the last video, I talked about the seismic shift taking place in the educational landscape and why it's more important today than ever before to situate our children so they can receive a humane education. If our children are going to be prepared to live faithfully and fruitfully in this coming technological age, they'll need more than information. They're going to need to learn wisdom, judgment, eloquence, virtue, and a well-formed moral imagination. If you didn't get a chance to watch the first video, I encourage you to go back and watch it. In this video, I want to raise several important questions that we need to answer correctly if we're going to provide quality educational alternatives in the ruins of our current crumbling systems. Just like the engineers and surveyors who rebuilt Hawke's Bay after the old maps failed, we have fundamental tools that we can use. But we need to ask the right questions. We need to ask compass questions. When the landscape has changed, a parent can't be satisfied with asking, where's the nearest school? Or which program is most convenient? Or which path looks most like the path everyone else is taking? Those are map questions. And today the map no longer corresponds to the land. The first compass question is this: what is an education for? Is it job training? Is it social status? Is it so your child can make you rich by winning on Jeopardy? Okay, that last question was just a joke. But the deeper question is not a joke at all. Once parents are able to answer this question honestly, they can release themselves from some of the unnecessary and distracting concerns that tend to heavily occupy their thoughts and actually impede their ability to serve their children well. Is my child at the right school? Do I need to transfer districts? What if I can't get him into AP classes? How is she going to get a scholarship? How do I prepare him for the test he needs to pass to get into college? These questions aren't meaningless. They have their place. But when we're able to answer the deeper questions, we stop stressing about all the wrong things. Yet, the problem is we have been conditioned to conflate processes with value. Teaching becomes synonymous with learning, and grades and assessments become synonymous with competency. Credentials become synonymous with wisdom, and that's just not always the case. Now, some of these check boxes exist because they're easy to follow. They're easy to assess. They give the masses some kind of metric, but that's not what education is for. Education is the passing down of wisdom and knowledge from one generation to the next. It's where every culture tells the truth about what it believes and what it loves. And so the first question we need to answer is, what is an education for? That way, we can begin thinking in the right place. The second compass question is this: what kind of person is this education forming? Modern education often assumes the student is a future worker, a future consumer, or a future political actor. Classical Christian education begins with a different anthropology. Your child is an image bearer, a whole person made to love what is good, true, and beautiful. A humane education seeks to educate the whole person, human qua human. It forms the mind, yes, but also the affections, the imagination, the habits, the conscience, and the powers of expression. Classical Christian education is not indifferent to vocation or useful skills. It simply refuses to make utility the highest good. A child educated only for the job market is being educated for a market that is always changing. A child educated in the liberal arts and humanities is equipped with lasting qualities of mind and character that can serve him in circumstances no one can fully predict. The third compass question is this: what environment is best for my child? Now, this can become a complex question, so let me try to break it down carefully. Homeschooling opportunities, private schooling opportunities, and charter schooling opportunities all have their place in the world. And here's where I'm going to tip my hand a little bit and tell you my position. If I were to put these in order, at the very bottom of the list is free government education. Now, that's not to put down anyone who's in that situation. I'm saying this is usually not going to be the kind of education that best allows your child to flourish. Now, you might be thinking, what are my options? I'm a single parent. I have limited resources. I live in an area without many choices. Those are real questions, and real life matters. We can't talk only about ideals and ignore providence, obligations, geography, finances, and whatever limits come in a family's particular season. Nevertheless, the conventional default is rarely the best option. A much better opportunity, and one that is often available without significant extra expense for parents, is a charter school. But the problem with charter schools is that they often have long waiting lists, and by design, they're not able to provide the full education represented by a classical and Christian pedagogy. They can provide a good civic education, a good liberal arts education, liberal meaning a free education, and in many cases, they're head and shoulders above the public school system. And so that's sometimes a better opportunity, but it's still missing something significant. The best education you can give your child is generally either in a private Christian school or in a Christian homeschool environment. The difference will come down to several matters, especially parental availability. So again, we can talk about ideals, but we also have to consider real life. Where are we in our life? What can we do faithfully? What can we sustain? What will actually help this child in this home, in this season, under God's providence? Those questions must be answered honestly. Now, ideally, I personally prioritize homeschooling opportunities over the private institution, but just slightly. I think there's a lot of value in both. Both are typically better than charter schools, and in many situations, a hybrid model may be the wisest path. A fourth compass question is this: what is the curriculum? What kind of curriculum is your child using? Is it fragmented, disconnected, and utilitarian? Does it introduce your child to the great conversation? Does it rely primarily on textbooks that summarize what other people have said? Or does it lead students into primary sources, the best literature, history, philosophy, theology, poetry, and ideas of the Western tradition? Classical Christian education is more than a method. It's a pedagogy applied to a specific pool of knowledge, the best of what has been thought and written in the last 2.5 millennia. Thus, students should read real books. They should discuss real ideas. They should learn to reason, speak, write, listen, distinguish, compare, judge, and love. The fifth compass question is this: who is teaching and forming your child? Education is about mentorship. It's about discipleship. It's about transformation. Curriculum matters, but curriculum alone is not enough. The person teaching your child matters more than just about anything else. Yes, the books matter, the community matters, the habits matter, the expectations matter, but the loves matter most, and the person teaching your child is going to influence what they love more than anyone else. Whether your child loves high culture or pop culture, virtue or vice, Dante or Drake, it's a matter of who's influencing them. A child is always being formed, and so the question's not whether formation is happening, the question is who is forming the child and toward what end. The sixth compass question is closely related. Does this education cultivate virtue and wisdom? Modern education often behaves as though education can concern itself only with the is and not with the ought. But every school has a vision of what a student ought to become. The only question is whether that vision is true, noble, and worthy of your child's soul. Classical Christian education teaches students with the goal of fostering virtue and wisdom instead of helping them accumulate disconnected facts or skills for the job market. It asks what kind of person this student is becoming. The seventh and final compass question is this: does this education teach my child to master words rather than be mastered by them? We live in an age of screens, slogans, propaganda, emotional manipulation, and endless digital noise. Classical Christian education is language-focused learning. It emphasizes learning through words written and spoken. Now, this doesn't mean that it excludes beauty, music, art, painting, architecture, or images. Quite the contrary. But it does insist that students must become masters of language, not prey to it. A young person who cannot read carefully, reason soundly, and speak truthfully is vulnerable in every age, and in our age, that vulnerability is magnified by the internet, social media, and AI. So those are the compass questions. What is education for? What kind of person is this education forming? What environment is best for my child? What is the curriculum? Who's teaching and forming my child? Does this education cultivate virtue and wisdom? Does it teach my child to master words rather than be mastered by them? In the next video, I'm going to move from what parents need to know to how parents can actually do this. Recognizing the shift is one thing. Asking the compass questions is another. But at some point, each family has to make a plan. In the next video, I'll show you a practical way to think through that plan so you can give your child a humane education without pretending that every family's life looks exactly the same.